So I made a little bit of a short video, but I'm thinking I need to make a longer video to study this coconut. So walk with me here into the kind of backyard of Jason's Palapala. And we have a bunch of various coconut trees that I've been going up, making steps and harvesting, right? So let's just start with what I notice on the ground already, okay? So what I notice, and I've been clearing it, is coconuts after they are ripe and they start dropping like this, right? There's so many of them, they create a canopy. And once they create a canopy, the water is trapped under this canopy and there's microbacterial activity happening in this canopy because now there is shade and moisture being created. There's also a lot of places to live in there, inside the stem, where ants can burrow and kind of cohabitate and coexist with the coconut. You'll often notice that when you're in the coconut itself, if there's no plants growing on the coconut tree, at the top of the coconut you'll notice there's moisture, there's water, because the leaves are kind of collecting down into the middle and shooting it back down. So the coconut's not only collecting water below, but it's also collecting water on top. You'll notice that there are ants living and burrowing in here, and there's lizards and sometimes even coconut crab, because I've smelled coconut crab piss at the top of the trees before. So obviously we can notice that there's a microbacterial and moisture and perhaps molds and mildew activity going on constantly. So this constant change of germs, insects, worms, birds, lizards, whatever you want to say. So there's already that we can notice. Let's see, what are some other things we can notice? So in the beginning stage, you see how the coconut leaf is very smooth, but later on it spreads. So that has to do something with the air, I'm guessing, and the aerodynamicness and perhaps the gathering of rain. Go too deep into the coconut as a whole in general. The reason for this video actually is to prove that the coconut seems to have been designed for man. Because if you really give it a good thought, coconut cannot be opened by anyone else. What other species can use tools and go to a coconut and open it, unless a monkey was demonstrated by a person how to use this machete to get the coconut, unless in a very exceptional scenario like that. Again, it seems that man was designed for a coconut, or the coconut was designed for man. It's reciprocal, it goes both ways. That only a coconut crab can go up, go up that as well. But only a coconut crab can pry open this, what do you call it? This wooden-like material. That's another thing that coconut gives you. It almost gives you firewood, right? And then get into it and start eating the nitsuk, or the old coconut, right? So, only man can come with a tool, with something harder than his hand, or a rock, or bash it against something to actually open it. Only a man would have that, the resources and the capability to do such a thing. So it leads one to believe, okay, then why was it created in the first place if only a coconut crab can enter? Not even mildew, not even mold, not even an insect can go into the coconut unless it's rotten, right? Unless something has inherently failed with the coconut process. The coconut is made such that it is insulated from the outside world until it is ready as a seed, in which the meat starts to shrink again into the seed, the sprout, which we know as coconut bread. And then this sprout is absorbed into the stalk, into the coconut tree, and sometimes the tree can even grow separate from this coconut bread and separate from this stalk, perhaps after it's gathered enough nutrition, and then it's able to survive on its own. So again, such a dynamic and fascinating plant. I'll obviously upload more and do more content on it, but if you just think, right, whether it's the leaves that you can weave together to make a structure to block the shade or block the rain, or perhaps you can make sails with those leaves. I'm not sure about that. I know that with the pandanus plant, the kind of the pineapple in the air kind of plant, you can do that with the leaves and make sails with it. But yeah, the fact that it's a palm and it's fibrous and it gives you fruit so quickly at the same time. And then so it can contain water, it can contain the fat, so food. It can contain it has firewood, again, in the coconut husk. God, what else is there? There's so many things to it. Oh, yeah, because it's fibrous, I can actually make steps on it, although the more advanced versions of climbing do not include steps on the coconut tree. Um, oh, that it grows straight up and not sideways like other trees, so that you can actually have a lot of them together or them in between the fruit trees that grow sideways. So it's already in a non-conflict situation with a fruit garden, even though it's a nut. And it's the nut that almost has the closest properties to a fruit because it has water inside of this nut. What else is there? Just thinking here. So yeah, we can see a stage over here of it browning, right? So it's going from the coconut that dropped from the tree into the browner. So even if you're an old person, you can still access coconut from the one that's dropped. And the one that's dropped is older, so it has more oil, it has more, things that you would probably need, nutrition. It's not as sweet, probably because the sweeter ones give you the most energy. So the people with the most energy have the most access to the sweet ones, the sweet coconuts. So there's a kind of a formula of, and I was actually explaining this to my friend Anthony and his family, that it seems as if coconut gives you the building blocks and the nutrition necessary to go harvest it in the first place, to have enough energy, intelligence, and willpower to actually go up this thing, climb this thing somehow, and manage to get the coconut in a stage that's prior to its dropping on the ground. But again, if you're a child, or some athletic children can climb, or if you're an older person, you can always access the coconut that's on the floor. And this is the one that gives you firewood and gives you milk, coconut milk as well, right? Because you can grind the meat, the older meat, and make a milk out of it. Just everywhere you look, the young coconut you can use as showering, because the young coconut water does not have sugar, so it takes longer to rot. For instance, it's more closer to just plant water, but it's still clean, so you can still wash with it, you can still drink it. It's probably not as good as something that's sugary, because then it's implication of nature inviting you to come and put it into your body, into your organism. There are so many different kinds of coconut. There's brown ones, there's green ones that turn to brown, there's light green, there's dark green, there's light brown, there's very intense reddish brown, orange. There's so many different kinds. There's big, there's very small, there's fast fruiting, like 3-year coconuts. There are thin ones, there are thick ones, there are slow forming, there's ones that fruit a lot at one time, there's ones that fruit a little at a time, and then from the little, there's little big ones, or little ones with a lot of water, or little ones with very little water, or big ones with a lot of water, or big ones with very little water again. And then you get the coconut bowl from the coconut that's hardened and older. Inside, the bowl has formed, so the structure has formed, and the fat's getting hard now, right? So just like a placenta with a baby, it forms, and it's getting ready to form the seed in the womb, kind of a thing. But around it is, again, this perfect ball of centripetal and centrifugal force, making magic in a ball, making life in a ball. So yeah, what else? There's just so many things. Again, I'll probably have to make another video to cover everything. The coconut stalk, right? Like in here, there's a coconut, like a bamboo shoot kind of texture, meat inside. And then if you harvest it from a fully grown tree, then you get like a huge amount of it. And it's slightly sweet, but very easy to eat. Unlike bamboo shoot, which has this bitterness or this sourness to it. And you don't even have to cook the one that you harvest from the coconut tree. The coconut heart is what I call it. There's obviously coconut oil coming from the older coconuts as well. I think there was one other thing I wanted to say about the older coconuts. But it is just a fascinating process, really. And that this coconut, you can like throw it somewhere else and it'll grow, and it's completely protected. It is the tree of life. And I guess I'll end the video. Let me pose the question: why would a coconut have been made? Why would a coconut even be here if there wasn't intelligence to design such a thing for a man to get stronger every time he interacts with the coconut itself? He has to physically be capable of opening, intelligently capable of of figuring out a way to do such a thing and actually execute and accomplish the mission, which is life, which is the tree of life, which is the greatest reciprocal food source that I've ever found in my life, I'm amazed, and I'll continue to be amazed. That is my coconut thesis, that a man, and perhaps with some tools, was meant for a coconut, and perhaps the coconut was meant for a man.